I'm feeling great right now. I'm happy to be home, trying to get on the right path so I can stay free. The challenges for housing and transportation are very hard right now because me being a felon and I don't have license, I have to catch the city bus, and most of the time I don't have money to catch the bus. And housing is very hard because there's only so many properties that rent to felons. If someone's being released right now, I would tell them to come to Project Return if they were really motivated and wanted to change their life and obtain a job. I have a high expectation of that because I really want to stay free this time and do what I have to do to stay in the free world. I'm looking forward is just to get a job, to do what I have to do to stay free into society, and maybe I can move up and become a business owner one day. I would like to own a restaurant because my mom cooks all the time and I grew up and I love to cook also. So I've always said that if I ever get the money, I would open up my own family restaurant. I'm very motivated, feeling encouraged, and know that I will succeed in life.
When I was first released, I was staying with my mom. And like any 30-year-old man, I was ready to not do that anymore. Transportation, there was none at all, except for the bus. But after being incarcerated, looking at the sky through one tiny hole in the ceiling, you don't really mind walking around so much. Project Return is very much responsible for helping to change my life in a lot of ways. First of all, I can't say enough about the staff. The people absolutely care. They do it because they care. So many people come through there and every one of them are made to feel welcome. With helping with food and bus passes, giving you education on ways to improve your life. Having to search for a job is stressful. Having no money and having to eat, it's all very stressful. And so Project Return takes a lot of that stress away. I would say go there as soon as possible. There are endless benefits. If you want to get better, they will help you get better. If you want to change your life, they will help you change your life. That's all they're there for. My particular job, I put together metal fencing panels. From the first day I started this job, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I have ever since. I work with great people. The fact that this company contracts with Project Return, they're willing to accept people who've been in my situation. This job, is providing me with the means to support myself. I can take care of myself completely. I've never been able to do that before. For the longest time, I didn't work hard. I was not a hard worker. I was lazy. Nobody could count on me. I was not dependable. But that's changed. Going through Project Return, having this halfway house, having a sober life, having a new chance. I work so hard because it feels so good to be that kind of person. I'm looking forward to that white picket fence, a wife, children. I'm looking forward to those things that I never thought I was going to get.
If somebody told me that it was possible for me to achieve what I've achieved within the past couple of years, in the past 2 years since I've been home from prison, I would have said, yeah, I guess it's possible, but stuff like that don't happen to me. My biggest fear was going home to my old family and friends. My family is basically a crime family. We always committed crimes. That was the way we made a living. That's the way we paid our bills and took care of our families. And I'm at the age, when I was on my way home, I was at the age where I knew that I couldn't do that anymore. I decided to give Project Return a chance because they kept coming back and kept coming back. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go, because they seemed sincere. And I went to Project Return, and walking in, everybody smiling and told my name one time, and every time from that point on, everybody that knew my name. It was one of them days I went in, I said, okay, I'm gonna go to Project Return. So I woke up, jumped on the bus, and I went to Project Return. I walked in the door. Shakita was at the door. She said, hi, Elijah. And I'm like, how she know my name, So I sat down, And Miss Betty walked by. She said, "Hey, Elijah, how you doing?" I'm like, "Wow, who is she? How is she?" Everybody knew my name. Project Return was helpful in getting and keeping employment because when you come through the program, they set up mock interviews after they teach you how to do the resume, teach you how to fill out the application. They set up mock interviews and they feel like an actual interview. They tell you what to say and how to be prepared and not to be afraid to tell your own personal story. Getting a job is very important, especially if you intend to have a life out here, not just as a convicted felon, but as a human being in general. And so when I went to get employed, I went to advanced plating. Project Return said when you go in, don't be afraid to talk about your past, but make sure you clean it up with what you're doing now and what you got good going up on now. So the instructions they gave me was clear, and we did it in the mock interview, and it felt so good in the mock interview. So when I went to the actual interview, before I went in the door, I was nervous. I'm like, okay, so if he bring up the part about the ex-felon, what would I say? And I said, you know what? They told me to say this, and this is exactly what I'm gonna say. So I was in there and I'm in the interview, and when the guy asked me if I was a convicted felon, I was honest, and I said I am a convicted felon. But since I've been home from prison, I've completed the Project Return program. I signed up for school and I've been accepted. And I just told him everything and he started smiling. And I'm like, wow. What he said made me feel like a good person. I'm like, wow, I was honest. I said, I got a criminal conviction, but I was honest with him. And he didn't bash me. He made me feel like a good person. And he hired me right on the spot. I worked for him for like 8 months. Right to this day, every blue moon, I'll send him a postcard or I'll send him a picture or I'll send him a thank you letter to let him know how important it was for me to this day that he hired me when I came home from prison. It helped with my confidence. It helped me with my self-esteem. The reason why it was a good decision for Steve Tracy to hire me at Advanced Plating, after like 2 or 3 months of being there, he pulled me to the side and told me that he liked what I was doing. And he asked me if there were any more men or women that came through Project Return that I felt would be good for the company. I don't know how many men and women from Project Return has actually went to be employed from Advanced Plating, but every time I go over there, I see 3 or 4 people like, "Hi, Elijah," and I'm like, "How you know me? I saw your picture up in Project Return. I came through Project Return too," and I'm like, that's a blessing. So I think it was a good decision because now he has a workforce that he can appreciate. I was released in May of 2014, and it has not been easy. I've been homeless in the cold, sweat. I mean, in the cold, in the snow. During that time that I was homeless in the snow, I was working full time, and I was a full-time student at ITT Tech. In fact, I filled out my application to go to ITT Tech at Project Return. That was a big accomplishment. We got married, we had a baby. I'm a new father, and that feels great. It feels great to be able to go home to a loving wife, a son that I know he's dependent on me. I have to work. I work so hard to make sure that he never has to go through the things I went through.